From Mediaite.com, Laura Loomer calls out Elon Musk's retaliation after having her X account locked. So much for free speech. Now, this is not about Laura Loomer because not many people like her. I am not a fan of Laura Loomer. I don't think many there. Laura Loomer has her fans, and she has her niche, and she's been around, and she's been going back and forth with people at X before it was X, back when it was Twitter. And she seems to have Trump's ear in one way, shape, or form. Didn't she run for a representative spot in Florida, and she got Harlan Globetrottered in that one? She didn't do very well. But regardless of any of that, X has been promoted in the last, ever since Musk bought it, as the public square and as a place for ideas to be exchanged. Well, it looks like that's fine up until you actually criticize the guy who owns it. Now, there's a separate argument that's like, hey, it's the guy who owns it, so he can pretty much do whatever he wants. If you want to use that as your line of statements, I can't really push back on that. I think it's kind of hypocritical, but there's an argument, there's a line of reasoning there. Not good reasoning, but a line of reasoning, nevertheless. So Laura Loomer has accused Elon Musk of totalitarian behavior after she and other critics of the X owner were stripped of their verification badges after criticizing Musk's comments on American workers and foreign H1B visa holders. Now, here's the big thing. Let me see if I can get this. Here's the thing that really everybody is questioning. It's the fact that Elon has been talking about the need to get these people into the country because they are the supposed best and the brightest. We need it, right? We covered this yesterday. There's a shocking shortage of engineers, and we need to backfill that right now. And you had conservatives on X who understood that sugar daddy money, you have to agree with the boss. And people came out and they're like, oh, he's actually making a very good point. And you're seeing your conservative influencers line up pretty quickly behind Musk, showing you that, we're all loyal to a paycheck, right? We're all loyal to a fault. But here's the issue. Here's the problem is that, and we'll get back to this article in a second, when Elon says these things, it's an issue because all of his stuff is public information like this. So this woman on this account, Art Candy, I don't know who she is, whatever, but she finds this screenshot from Laura Loomer, who just went right after Musk. You got to give her credit. She was like a dog with a bone on that one. She would not let up. So you said, hey, Elon Musk, you're telling me that 70,000 per year entry levels are the top percent talent, especially if you look at places like Austin. $70,000 in Austin is not a lot of money. I mean, it's 45, 50 minutes south of me. It is might as well be. It is mini California with the housing prices and the cost of living down there. To be, I can't even read half of these things. Associate, associate processor, whatever the case may be, 70,000, 71,000. That's not top tier stuff. That's middle of the road. The median average salary, I believe, in the United States, like 50,000. So where is this idea that this is top tier talent? Also, how many of I think the H1B visa is capped at 85,000 a year if Jeremy from the Quartering is right, which I'm sure he is, which means you're capping out 85,000 per year of people being brought in. And it's not just them, it's the chain migration of the people after them. So Laura Loomer keeps pointing this out. And then all of a sudden, what happens is that Laura Loomer's account, and I'm sorry, I got to keep doing this until I actually fix my settings. So you're going to just have to keep looking at my pretty face until Laura Loomer was given essentially the death penalty here by Musk and by the rest of the, come on, where is the stupid thing? Kickboxer, Schneiders. Okay. So it's not that one. Yeah, it is. It's that one. Then she got this. I got this a while back when I made a comment about a Serpa holder. I got banned for it, even though it wasn't anything terrible. But Laura Loomer got her account frozen. Now, of course, people are happy about it, but her account was frozen for what reason? Nobody really knows. Nobody really knows why. But then Elon decided, and Elon's been on a tear. That's one thing, is maybe X has not been great for him because he doesn't have a filter. As much as you make fun of Trump for not having a filter, Elon Musk is just as bad right now at not having one. When he could have just put down the phone and grabbed some eggnog and kind of walked away for a couple hours. He's gone at it even more. And it looks like they've even changed the algorithm, or he's just revealed why accounts like mine, whenever I put a tweet out, 50 people see it, 70 people see it, 80 people see it. And it's very frustrating because, I pay for the X account. That's how I'm actually able to stream on it now, for all these things. And yet I get no reach. I get no impact. I get no interactions. But then he puts this out and says, just a reminder, the algorithm is trying to maximize unregistered user seconds. It's far more credible verified subscribers, which is a weird thing. What is a verified credible subscriber? A large account? Because there's a lot of garbage accounts that have massive amounts of followings on this platform. A lot of farming engagement accounts that have massive followings on this platform. Is that what makes a credible source? Anyway, mute or block your account compared to those who like your posts. Your reach will significantly decline. So if you have I'll tell you, I'm blocked by Jack Posebic. Jack Posebic has million plus subscribers compared to my 3,000. So he has put me in a corner. So what he is essentially saying is, if larger accounts, and it can be a conservative, it can be a liberal, it can be anything, if they block, I'm blocked by some news report lady in Houston because I questioned her once. She blocked me. I'm blocked by like Giffords and other bigger accounts than me. So they can put you they can literally, Elon's saying, hey, if you block these lower accounts, they'll disappear regardless of if they're paying or not, which is kind of ridiculous. You're paying and part of it says you'll boost your engagement and boost your reach. So it's really ridiculous. But at least Elon is telling you now, hey, if there's censorship and shadow banning, real shadow banning taking place. And all you have to do, if you're a large account, is just mute a smaller account, and then they're done. And he's like, well, if you get a lot of likes and retweets, which is impossible, because if a larger account bans you or blocks you, who's going to see it? So it's kind of crazy. Let's see here. First, it's get whitey. Now it's Americans stink. Mom and pops are the backbone of American jobs and the economy, and the nerd and the woke can't compete with that. No, they can't. They can't. And we've talked about the fact that nerd culture is not a culture that can define and lead. You need people who are analytics. You need people who are good with those kinds of numbers and tech. Absolutely. But they're not leaders. Leaders are, of a different breed. Yeah. A leader may not even be the best or the smartest within a given sector, but he or she knows how to delegate and how to make decisions. It's a little bit different. Leadership versus intelligence is the two don't quantify. They don't have to. They're rarely, one does not equal the other. I mean, you can't be an idiot to be a leader, but super geniuses, it's like, I'm going to use a sports ball reference. There's a reason why great basketball players make terrible head coaches. And if you get the sports ball reference, you understand. Or, a great somebody who is great at math in college is a terrible professor because they see things differently than the common person does. So you have that. So Elon is telling you, listen, if you get blocked or muted, you're pretty much done on this account. So you can pay me, you can do all that stuff, but I'm not going to give you a reach. I'm not going to give you any expansion. You're going to stay where you are, which is, it's censorship. It's just not censorship from X, but you can coordinate on somebody. You can do all these other kinds of things as well. So you have Laura Loomer, and then you have, let's see, not just Laura Loomer. You actually have conservative accounts that have lost. So Laura Loomer lost her check mark, which she paid for. She lost the ability to stream, and she lost the ability to do a bunch of things. It was just revoked from her. She's like, why did I lose all these things? For speaking up. Because you spoke up against the boss man, and the boss man said, anybody that's speaking up against the H1B visas, anybody that has a contrary view to me, they need to go. And we see it here. We see this account from Conservative OG, which I didn't even know existed, but that's them. All of our influencers have now lost verification status, as well as our own page. Our brand did nothing. We spoke out against HB1 or H1B visas, and it appears that Elon Musk has intentionally shut us down. Is this the new status quo from America's most free social media platform? So you're no longer an affiliate of Conservative, blah, blah, blah. Your account will review. I mean, it just says your account's under review. And then they strip you of something that you're paying for because you disagree with them. Now, technically, Elon's not doing anything wrong. I'm sure they rewrote the terms of service to reflect that this violates some kind of term that allows them to remove the blue check mark. Right? They can remove the blue check mark at any time for any reason. It's not guaranteed. So it's very interesting to see that happen. In regards to Laura Loom was the first, then this account, Conservative OG, and then there was a bunch of other accounts that were either suspended or revoked. And yeah, it really is that where Elon Musk, and this is not a bad thing. I mean, this is not an insult. Guy's probably he probably hasn't heard the word no since he became a billionaire, because there's a lot of people in his orbit that'll tell him he's the greatest. He's this, just Bezos, Zuckerberg. They all have the same thing. They all have these yes people in their orbit telling him how amazing they are. And a week ago, he had the fawning of the MAGA movement. Oh, we love Elon. He's so great. He's on our side. We have a billionaire. Look how we shut down we got this spending bill down because Elon helped us with Doge, and it's great and it's awesome. And then he put this out, and people were like, well, we don't like that idea. We want Americans to have a chance. I really think all Americans ever said is we just want a chance to compete for these jobs. And Elon and Vivek said, you're fat, lazy, and stupid, so you don't get a chance. I think most of MAGA would have been okay. They wouldn't have liked it if he was like, listen, I run a business. The H1Bs are a great way to bring in low-cost labor that I can control. Think about it. The H1B visas are a terrible program because it's indentured servitude, essentially. Those people are under the contract of whoever they're working for. And if they do not please the person who has the contract, then get sent back to wherever they go. So it is a form of indentured servitude. So that's another reason, if you don't want to approach it from, hey, give Americans a chance, then you can come at it with, hey, listen, this is a terrible thing to do because you're putting people under indentured servitude, paying, barely livable wages, and telling them, hey, you gotta work 80 hours a week. So it's not great. It's not something that we should be promoting or something we should be really enjoying because or being proud of, simply because it doesn't work. It's not the right thing. And so Elon is the transhuman. He's all about the Neuralink. I always told people, be careful, he's a Neuralink guy. And so it is interesting. But back to the original article. We got Michael here on YouTube saying, bruh, I work in tech. The H1B talent is awful, impossible to work with, and totally devoid of basic human business ethic. A lot of stories with that. And it's just, crazy stuff that was happening at the time. Yeah, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of stories about that. And so you bring in these people who are not as, right? They don't have them. Now I can't say this because my wife is an engineer. And when she sees people from India, she saw this when she was at TCU, they would claim to be engineers, but they had engineering certificates. They didn't have engineering degrees. They had engineering certificates. And she would always laugh at me like, it's not an engineer. She's like, do you know what I did to get this engineering degree? And these guys are walking around calling themselves engineers, and they just have engineering certificates. So that's another thing when they say, oh, we have these high skilled engineers. Most of them either are taught at American schools, which is funny when they say, well, we don't have time to teach them. A lot of them go to American schools to get educated, or B, when they come from India, the academics are not the same, which is another thing. When Vivek says your culture is crap, it's like, well, then why do they come here to get schooled? Why are they here at all? So there's a lot of stuff that has to be called out in that regard. And it's not a great situation. And now we're getting to the point where you know, Musk is using his platform to retaliate against, and somebody wrote, if you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. And Musk said yes. And of course, they go back and forth. It's just a bad look. It's a bad look, and it's really bad that it's bad. Okay, it's bad that Elon could not see, or is too prideful, or has not been told no long enough. That he's taking this poorly. He was on a couple. His alternative. He has this thing. He has a burner account. And he went into some of these X spaces and he's just yelling at people and he's calling you stupid and he's doing all, it's like, dude, calm down. We're just trying to say Americans aren't even, if you wanted to say, hey, we're using the 0-1. Oh yeah. I bet you Vivek is. People are digging stuff up of Vivek, his dementia drug that took all the people that invested in that for a ride. You know, there's not a great thing about that, and the way he scammed people out of money there, and the fact that these guys are so dedicated to the numbers and this redefining America it's not a place, it's an idea, which people are like, it's not really the way this works. America is a union of states of different cultures and ideas and all these other kinds of things. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's going on here that is not great, and it's bubbling to the surface. Trump's been very quiet about all this because I'm pretty sure he doesn't care what Elon does. You know, Elon helped him get elected. Maybe Trump likes this. We don't know, because Elon was starting to get a big head about being the co-president and being all this other stuff. Maybe he's just sitting back, drinking his Diet Coke, being like, you're not the president yet, buddy. You got to work harder. So we'll see how this evolves. But I don't think people really were ready for Elon Musk to start stripping people of their paid verification status without just cause, which is pretty sad. And we're going to end this with something from... we got one more here just to kind of get us, moving on. But I do want to close this section up with Raheem Kassam. He's from Real American News or One American News. Take a listen real quick.
System. There is nothing moral about the brain drain that it creates on the rest of the world. There's absolutely nothing moral about what it does to American citizens whose parents and grandparents and great-grandparents built the country, paid into the system, and are now getting a bum rap as a result of these new tech oligarchs. It was always going to happen. It was always a fight we were going to have, and I'm glad we're having it now. The deal is simple. You don't get to roll in at the last minute saying, yeah, we love Trump too, and then control the policy positions of the incoming administration.
Now, see, here's the thing. And this was something that people like myself were calling out all the way back in 2016. There's a lot of people that have rolled in off the coattails of Trump, and I'll name one: Mike Cernovich. Mike Cernovich was a liberal, and they had a couple books, and he was a nobody. And then he rode the Trump train into office, and now everybody thinks he's some kind of genius intellectual. Same with somebody like James Lindsay. Same thing. They came in, and conservatives were like, here, take our whole party. And now we're in that position.
I'm sorry, we're not going to tolerate it. This that you guys have brought up, all of this show is obviously massive. These are people who are effectively using a government-sponsored immigration program, a government policy, a long-standing and long bemoaned H1B policy that the United States has, to bring in people that they can use as indentured servants, but also to bring in people that they can bully. Right? That is the cultural and psychological factor behind all of this. But this argument at its very heart, and I was warning all year long that you bring bring these outsiders in, and I think a lot of people have said this over the course of the show. We obviously are very grateful for the support, for the money, for the PACs, for the voter registration, for the purchase of X from big tech. But hey, what's the point of the purchase of X from big tech if it's just meet the new boss, same as the old boss? And that's what this really comes down to. If you're having an open conversation on a platform like X, you should be able to pretty much say virtually anything short of threats to violence or violent insurrection or whatever it is. But what we saw take place yesterday was the culmination of a conversation that has been running for decades and decades. And look, and I wrote the book in 2018 called Enoch Was Right. This was about a British parliamentarian who you know very well, Enoch Powell, who gave this message loud and clear to the British public that if you keep mass importing people, then it is akin to a nation heaping up its own funeral pyre. And when I listen to Laura Loomer, when I listen to Jack Posobiec, I know you got Darren Beattie and Mark Krikorian and all these guys, they will say the same thing. This is like a nation heaping up its own funeral pyre. And listen, take it from me, an outside voice who came here from the United Kingdom to warn you not to go down the same route that we have gone. And that is exactly what these big tech oligarchs want, right? It's mass immigration. It's a complete disregard for not just Americans, but American culture. They couldn't care less about it. So here's the deal that we have to assert at this point. And by the way, it's funny, isn't it, that some of us don't need to stroke $1 million and $10 million.
All right, you all saw the other part too. But yes, the idea is you have these guys, and this was the problem when Trump said, we got to get rid of illegal immigration, but we're fine with legal immigration, right? We all want, well, it was always something weird. We fine with legal immigration. There's a lot of people who are like, we need an immigration moratorium, man. 10 years minimum. 10 years minimum. You can't have 10 million people come in and then be like, oh yeah, well, nah. And that's where the tech bros and I'm going to throw her in there too, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who came out and to support the H1Bs, completely missing the point of her base, the whole movement, which is, hey, we need Americans to have a chance to work American jobs again. Oh, well, you guys are too stupid. You can't pick crops and you can't be janitors and you can't be teachers and you can't be this. What are we supposed to do at this point? What are we, as members of this union, who were born here, who have our grandparents here, who have lineage here? Like, I can't move to Rome, Italy tomorrow and be like, yep, I'm gonna be the chief of police tomorrow. Nah, you can't do anything about it. That's pretty much what we're being handcuffed here. Right? We can't pick we can't pick crops. Or cotton if you want to, for, if you want to make like fabrics or whatever. There's still people that do that. There are still cotton producers out there. You can't pick crops. You can't pick produce. You can't pick any of these things because you're too stupid and lazy. So we got to bring in illegal immigration. You can't code because we got to bring in the H1B visas from India because they're better than you. They'll work harder than you and they'll do it for cheaper. So there you go. There's a lot of, and now what are we left to do? Maybe we go on UBI because you have Elon Musk, big fan of UBIs. He wants to put you on his version of universal basic income. Have you sit there on your Neuralink watching your Netflix while the immigrants do everything for you. That's a dystopian future, man. That's not this union of states that we were brought up in. And this thing just continues to evolve. It continues to evolve, and it's fascinating to watch.